Hi, I'm Mordechai Becher, and welcome to the Gateway's Parsha vlog. This week's Parsha is Vaeira, and in the Parsha we talk about the Torah speaks about the roles and the relationship of Aaron and Moshe, in which Hashem says that Moshe will be the leader, Aaron will be his prophet, he will speak for him. And throughout the Torah we find this dual leadership of both Aaron, and Moses, Moshe. What is the dual role here? There are a number of different views about it. One is the idea that Moses was the one who was the preserver of the law, and Aaron was the people person, the communicator. That is to say that the integrity of the Torah has to be preserved so that there is no distortion, there is no corrosion of the ideas. The ideas have to be preserved like an argon gas in a vacuum pot. Well, if it's argon gas, not a vacuum, but whatever. But it's got to be preserved in such a way that no corrosion or rust or anything. The words of the Torah have to be exact and precise. A communicator usually has to change the message a little bit in order for it to be understood by people. He must use analogies, he must use metaphors, he must use stories, a joke, different words, sometimes a different language, a different expression, etc. than the original, which means every time a person communicates something to a large group, there's a little bit of a degradation, slight, in the integrity and in the purity of what is being transmitted. Moses, whose job was to preserve the integrity of the Torah, to preserve the law and to be the vault, the safe in which the law is guarded, he is not a great communicator. We are told, Lo ish dvarim anochi, he says, I'm not a man of words. Because when the idea is profound and pure in his mind, very difficult to convey it to someone else without degrading it, without changing it. Aaron, on the other hand, much more popular than Moshe, than Moses, he was a great communicator. And you needed both of those roles. And Rav says they needed to be divided into two people because you wanted to have the Torah as untainted and pure, but you also want to have the communicator to bring the people close. And those were the dual roles of Aaron and of Moshe. So that's one idea. Another idea, which is slightly different from Rav Kook, who says that there's two aspects to the roles of leadership. One is, one type of leader unites the people and through his relationship with the people draws out from the people their natural potential and capacities. And without being united, without the trust and the love of the leader and of each other, those potentialities and those advantages in the people will not come out. So therefore his role really is not so much to artificially raise people, but rather to bring out that which is natural in them, but to provide the environment of warmth and growth and of unity to bring that out. That was the role of Aaron's role. He says there's another type of leader his role is to catapult the people beyond where they are, to bring people from being slaves to 49 days later becoming prophets. Jews are in slaves in Egypt, they come to Mount Sinai, they experience prophecy. That requires a different type of leadership. That requires a leadership where the leader drags, so to speak, pulls the people, maybe kicking and screaming sometimes, but elevates them to a level way beyond their potential, and he bestows upon them, so to speak, from his sanctity and his tremendously high spiritual level and elevates them. That was the role of Moses. So Moshe is the one who elevates the people beyond where they could possibly be on their own and through their own potential. Aaron is the one who brings out their natural potential by uniting them and bringing them into a covenant of love and of friendship and of unity of the Jewish people. So those are the different roles that they would have. There's a third view, which is that the roles of Moshe and Aaron parallel the roles of these two people later on who are what's called the Av Beit Din, the head of the court, and the Nasi, the prince. What was the difference between their roles? So their roles were that the prince was the advocate of the people. He was in the Sanhedrin, the court, to always be the attorney, the lawyer, the advocate for the needs of the Jews, the social, the economic, the spiritual, the psychological, all the needs of the Jews. He was the one whose focus was on that. But you also had the Av Beit Din. The Av Beit Din, his focus was on the law. His focus was to make sure that the law was being kept and the Torah was being preserved and the Torah was intact. So now, if you only have one or the other, you could have problems. If you're totally focused on the law and you're not looking at the social, psychological, emotional, economic needs of the people, could be problems. If you're only looking at the social, economic, and psychological needs of the people, but you're not focused on the law, there could also be problems. So therefore, the Sanhedrin had these dual leadership roles. One who was the Av Beit Din, that was Beit Shammai. Shammai, whose role was to focus on the law. And you had the other one who was known as the Nasi. That was, for example, Hillel, whose job is to focus as an advocate of the people. And the combination of the two of them in the Sanhedrin produced a law which would be in harmony with the Torah and in harmony with the needs of the people. That too was the role, or I shouldn't say that too, because Moses and Aaron came earlier, but that was the prototype of those positions of Nasi and Av Beit Din, with the positions of Moshe and Aaron amongst the Jewish people. So those are three different approaches, one from Rav Samson Raphael Hirsch, and one from Rav Kook, and the third from Rav Heller, who wrote a book on commentary on Pirkei Avos. So have a great Shabbos. This is Mordechai Becher with the Gateways Parshat Vaeira.